because y'all Wesley stay off these streets. And outside of her teaching me that, another thing that sparked in my mind was when I saw and realized drugs is what killed my family. Drugs is what took my childhood. So at some place in life, I got to the point I said, how can I continue on a corner or supply drugs to people in the neighborhood when drugs is what took my childhood? Right. Like I literally didn't have a good childhood because my mother was on drugs, my father was on drugs, my whole community was on drugs. I grew up on McDonough Street. McDonough Street was ran down, tore down. Everybody got high down there. Now, man, it's the block and house I lived in. It looks new because Johns Hopkins and all those other corporations and businesses have come in, bought the house, and now the people who live down there never grew up down there. So a lot of my memories, when I go down there, I remember the neighborhood, but a lot of my memories and the people that live down there, they're gone. I don't even know how to contact these people. Yeah. So where I grew up at, I don't even really know how to contact a lot of these people unless some of them might follow me on Facebook. But a lot of them, to be honest, they did. They're in jail or I don't know where they at. Because when we lived down there, it was just so ran down that it wasn't even a proper place and lifestyle to live. Mm-hmm. And if you go and see the houses that they didn't fix up yet, you will see how ran down it is and what it looked like. But to the point is like you just said, if you only engulfed in a negative environment, then what do you expect somebody to be? Because I tell people all the time, a child is like a sponge, right? And they're going to suck up everything around them. So if you have a child that is only fed negativity, that child, majority of the time, is going to come out and be a child of his environment.
Absolutely. Ms. McFadden, can you talk to us about like what you're doing with the juveniles and how this is playing a role in what it is that you're doing?
Well, right now, what I used to do was I used to take kids home, give them dinner, help them do their homework, do all those types of things when I taught. Right now, I'm in the process of actually starting an organization where we go into the schools, do the same type of thing, but actually in the school. And one thing that DC does now that I'm actually going to start implementing is they go and identify children whose parents are incarcerated and be able to pair them with services, because it's one thing to have your parent incarcerated and no one tells you what's going on, but children born too. Children go through trauma, children go through PTSD, and then pair them with, a therapeutic service, something so they could work through those issues but still learn how to have healthy relationships. So all that stuff is in the works now. I do book drives, I do school drives, which I'm gonna actually start next week. And just really mentor these kids. I have like 4 girls, one of them is in college now. Not my daughters, but kids that I mentor. One's in college now. And just working with them, and their parents are incarcerated, and just being that, like Wesley said, that positive spark in their life to help them. And, now that I'm more settled, my daughter's older, I really want to make it bigger than what I've been doing, because everybody has their role. I believe some people are the back, in the background, some people in the front lines. I've been a background person for a very long time, and I always was that person that thought I'm not doing enough. I mean, yeah, I'm feeding these kids, and I'm taking them home, and I'm helping them do their homework, but am I really doing enough? And I don't think people give themselves enough credit when it comes to just being that one spark, that one thing that says, hey, I know your father or your mother's locked up, but let me help you. Meet me at the library so I can help you do your homework. And that actually is helping these kids do better. And a lot of the kids that I taught, that I'm actually trying to work with now, hopefully when the school year starts, they have a pattern of juvenile delinquency. And a lot of it, I've done some research and presented it, as colleges and things. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that teachers don't know how to relate to the students. You can't put a white teacher from Utah in Baltimore City and expect her to reach this child who's on a 4th grade reading level in the 9th grade. It's not going to work. They're going to act up. They're going to mirror those negative images or those maladjusted images that they see every day, and then you wonder why they drop out of school. You wonder why they are on the corner selling drugs, because in reality, on average, you make less than minimum wage selling drugs anyway. Exactly. So you're standing outside for 12 hours a day, risking getting beat up by police, shot, killed, stabbed, whatever, for less than minimum wage.
Right, but I don't think they're looking at it that way. because they only see that immediate gratification.
Mhm.
So they aren't looking at how many hours I'm wasting standing on the corner. All they know is I'm going to be able to buy this girl this chicken box. I'm going to be able to buy me the sneakers.
Not the chicken box.
That's
Yes.
real though.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. So.
Chicken box, 4 rings fried, my mom.
Yeah.
Cut it out, half a half. But they even say before you even finish your order, what you want? Half half? Like 4 wings fries. My mom tell me, half half? Yeah, my mom.
Exactly. So, that's some of the things that we need to start teaching them. While you think you're making a lot of money, what you're making is pennies.
Right. Because if you break down, because you use the example of $1,000 a week, if you break that down, that's what, $2,000 every 2 weeks?
Yes.
And break it down hourly, you might as well go work in McDonald's, get you $11.50 an hour, and then you won't be running the risk of getting shot.
But what she just said, I like that. But a lot of people don't understand how that breaks down. So, just last month, I walked up to a group of kids and young men, and before I started speaking to them, I went to a gas station, and when I went to it was a 7-Eleven, and when I went to a 7-Eleven, it was like 8 or 9 young men at this same 7-Eleven, and they all approached me. I got that loud out. I got that gas. I got that loud, the gas, yo, down to the diesel. And my mind, because I'm older, wiser, and more advanced now, I know, first of all, it's not that many sales and customers at this 7-Eleven for seven of y'all to be standing on one corner. So, right. So what I did was, and it's because everybody can't do that. But what I did is because I'm comfortable with the community, I'm comfortable with the people because I'm from there. Right. We started conversing and I pulled them up. I gave them all $5 a piece. So open them up, get them a little comfortable. So once I started talking to them and letting them know, they talked on my car and all that stuff. So I disregarded that. So I'm like, look, you will work and make out better if you apply to Home Depot, Lowe's, or any of these other businesses just to get a work history together, just to build a resume, and just to get some health, try to at least get some health insurance or something like that, rather than standing on this corner serving people down bags of diesel or whatever pills we have. Because in all honesty, if you have 7 or 8 or 10 young men standing on one corner and they all serving the same product, it's not, I know a lot of people get high, but it's not that much on one corner for you to make a good amount of money. Now, if 2 people was on that corner and they were splitting the money, okay. But nowadays, they got like 7, 8, and 10 young men standing on one corner. When I was young, a lot of us did. And instead of having work ethic, and instead of wanting to get up and do something, only thing they want and looking for is that immediate gratification. But not even understanding what she just said. Standing on that corner is not going to get you a lot of money. And in all honesty, the person who's getting the money is the person who's feeding it down to you. And the one who's actually feeding it down to you, he's not the person who's getting the big money either. It's the real big main connect that's not even black. And people don't even understand that. Black people promote all these drugs, and it hurts me so bad because it is killing us. But in our rap songs and our TV shows and our everyday community, we promote this stuff because we love it, we pump it up, and we think it's cool. But in all honesty, the people who are making a big dollar off of it, it's not a black man or black woman. The black man and black woman who's making the quick buck, they at the bottom of the totem pole. If you go look at it, see who's at the top of this, those people are sitting on multi-millions and billions of dollars. The drug industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry a year. Black people are not the ones being beneficiaries of those billions or multi-millions. It's some legendary hustlers that have made millions on the streets. But if you go find them, they have also served life in prison. Once you get so big, they coming to take you down. But the guys who actually sitting at the top, who's actually getting the big real money, they're not taking those guys down. They're not taking them down. They got more power than damn near a president or a secretary or of a state or something because they so big and how they protect it. So they flood our neighborhoods with these drugs. Our kids get influenced on it. Our young girls and our young boys get influenced on it, and they get caught up in that cycle, and they love it so much, but they don't understand we are trapped. And yeah, I like to, tell people, okay, the white and Jewish man, yes, they will benefit off our entrapment. But in nowadays, it's time for us as people to wake up and realize that we are in a trap. Once you realize you are in a trap, now it becomes time when we need to change and work on our conditions. And my thing is, when do we get to the point where we realize, like, yo, being out on the street is killing more of our men than damn near diseases. Being on this corner is killing more of our young men and women and kids than these diseases out here. We're not getting no jobs. We have the highest prison incarceration. A lot of us are dying. When do we come to the point of black men and black women and we realize, like, yo, the street don't love us. We love it and praise the street. Those blocks don't love us. Those blocks didn't love my mother. My mother died on the block. You feel what I'm saying? Those blocks didn't love Elijah's father. Elijah's father was shot and killed and house set on fire. And he was in the street his whole life. Those streets and blocks didn't love me. I've been stabbed, fought so many. They didn't love me. But when I was young and I'm loving the street so much, it didn't give me what I was giving it. And that's why I like to get to these kids. And I love what you're doing because we got to get to these kids and teach them, like, look, this ain't the right way. We need to stop bigging up and promoting so much negativity. And for some reason, the negativity spreads like wildfire. Positivity grows slowly, like what's the syrup that fall up the tree? Molasses, seriously. Like for real. Positivity moves and grows so slow, but negativity spreads as soon as you put it out there.
Absolutely.
We need to stop being like that.
Absolutely. So the Queen Young on YouTube is saying the cartels are who is at the top. The hustlers will never meet them. They will never meet their connect.
You're right, bro. You're right, Uncle T.
Yeah. So, something that you said about the young guy standing on a corner 10 at a time. One thing that I want to talk about as far as the young people today, they're so poorly socialized and what appears to be normal that it's no way that they can stand on the corner by themselves or just 2 by 2 and be successful at what they're doing. Because a lot of things that are coming with it, not that I'm a drug dealer, not that I'm standing out there or anything like that.
Right.
But a lot of what they're doing is they're perpetrating and they are putting on this show for anyone who wishes to watch them.
Right.
So if they're so ill prepared and poorly socialized, you have to expect them to be there 10, 7, just like in a prison. When they go to prison, that's why they join gangs. They cannot stand on their own. What they know of to be normal socialization is what they can get within this group, and they're all trying to work within that group to be the most well-known or the most popular within their group. I can't do that with just me and you on this corner, and then they're down there on that corner. Somebody else is I can't see them. Therefore, I can't get the clout that I think I'm going to work my way up to. So I think there's a lot of things that go into the mentality of these young children and what they think of the game to be today. I think that's the biggest difference in those people who were, the old school drug dealers, the OGs, or whatever you call them.
So, what age group do you work with?
Primarily middle school, but I want to go younger than that because you need to get them while they're young. Because it's easier to modify behavior when you're younger. You can't. It's harder for me to talk to somebody that's 45 who's older than me. I mean, it happens to me all the time at work. It's harder for me to tell one of my staff who's 45, listen, you need to do this, this, and this. They'll be like, oh my God, look at this little girl now. I'm like, not really little girl, but okay. But with the children, they're more, you can get that spark quicker with them. So I work with middle school, but my focus is now going down to 5, up to middle school.
because they're more impressionable.
Right.
The younger they are.
Yeah.
So you also work with individuals that come home from prison, right?
Yeah.
So what are your I guess like objectives when it comes to that?
Keep them from reoffending. Honestly, I mean,
So you believe in recidivism? You think that's a real thing?
I believe that that's a good question too. I believe that the particular group that I work with, and I can't really say too much,
Right.
they have not reoffended since I've been working with them and since they've been at the organization that I've worked with. But that's because it's a person-centered approach. So I take that same approach that I used when I taught, and I taught kids that made coming to school difficult for a lot of teachers.
Mhm.
But because I focused and found the value in you, I was able to pull that out, which caused you to, even if you were good in my class, at least you were good in my class. And same holds true for people who come home. First, you gotta want to do better.
Right.
And once you want to do better, it is up to the professional, the mental health professional, to dig deep, get that little nugget of wanting to do better, and helping you pull it out. Because if I can help you pull it out, you'll be more successful instead of me just pulling it out and telling you what to do and how to do it and when to do it. Because you already went through that. Somebody told you how to do that.
That's the problem with putting the little girl from Utah who's just trying to get her school loans paid off.
Mhm.
That's the problem with putting her in the inner city school.
Yeah.
She's not empathetic to where they are coming from. She has no idea about anything, and that's why one of the issues that I have is these tests that they give, the standardized testing. A lot of times they're so biased, you're asking children about this skillet. They don't know what a damn skillet is. That's a frying pan.
They know what the cast iron pan is.
Yes.
That grandma had hanging on the hook in the kitchen.
But something she said though is you have to want to do better.
Yes.
But a lot of these kids, we say they gotta want to do better. A lot of these kids really don't even know what better is.
Exactly. Because they
the,
know what's normal.
Right. So the conditions that they live in and how we're raised, it becomes normal. Like she just said, you're normal. So when I lived on West North Avenue, down the street from Copper, that's how everybody live around there. Mm-hmm. So it don't matter what your age group. If you grow up like that, to you, that's normal.
Yes.
So if you walk outside of your door, you see abandoned house, abandoned house, abandoned house, somebody live here, abandoned house, somebody live there, and people are actually living in those abandoned houses and and moving in them and living in them, to us, that is normal. So we are used to living that way from birth, and we walk outside our front door and we see abandoned houses all up and down our block. How do I honestly know what better is if I don't go outside of my community? That's another thing. A lot of us as individuals, especially these kids, they don't go outside of that bubble or that circle you in. So it's a small range of miles that you may go. So if you live on this block, you might go to school right down the street. Your grandmother might go to church right up on the corner. Your little corner store or chicken place or hood market might be down the street. Your mile radius is just 2 to 3, at most 3 miles probably that you're traveling. And normally, especially in Baltimore, when you are in a community and you are within a 3-mile radius of your community, it's abandoned buildings on every block. Go in these communities, there's abandoned buildings from one block to another block to another block. And when you are raised and grow up like that, how do you know that's not normal?
And who are you to tell me that how I'm growing up is wrong when my music tells me, oh, this is how it's supposed to be? When TV tells me, this is how this is supposed to be. How are you going to tell me that it's wrong?
And that goes back to the whole cultural responsive thing, because a lot of the times the only way these kids can actually be exposed to something different is in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And
we talked about that.
If I am 7 years old and my normal is abandoned house, my house, and 3 more, if my teacher doesn't see the spark in me already, because I'm 7, so I don't know if I have it or not.
Right.
Because I'm only 7, I'm only 6, I'm only 4. But I had that one teacher that's like, oh my gosh, Shannon, you did such a great job today tying your shoes. Right. And then every day, I'm building that child up. So even if I only had that child for 1 year, at some point in time, that it's going to click. Mm-hmm. My mother taught in Baltimore City schools for 37 years. To this day, and she's been retired for 7. She's been retired for 7 years. To this day, people still come up to my little sister and I'm like, oh my God, you was McFadden's daughter. I had her in 1990.
Right.
She's the reason why I went to college.
Right.
I had students that I taught that hit me up on Facebook like, oh my God, Mr. McFadden, I need to tag you in my degree. Because I was that one teacher that saw that spark in them. They were going home. And I literally dropped kids off at home. But their mother nodding off in the corner. I'm like, all right, baby, come on. Let's go get some Popeyes, and then I'll bring you back when your grandmother come home.
Right.
But I saw that spark.
So
we kind of touched on this, in several different discussions. We touched on it. And, the point is just like in these organizations, these service organizations like I have, like Wesley has, sometimes that's the only means of support that you have. The only positive brown person that I have in my life. And it seems like, oh, that's far-fetched, don't give yourself that much credit. But for a lot of children, that is definitely the case.
Mm-hmm. But it's also, it's the fact that some people are just so totally different that it's hard to kind of bring them together unless you do like some type of interventions or trainings with individuals. Mm-hmm. So I'm not all against white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever race you are, coming in a community to help or teach, because that's how you grow and learn. We should all be able to grow from each other. Mm-hmm. The problem is the white teacher or the Hispanic teacher or the Asian teacher, they come from a place that is so different. They don't understand what these kids are going through because they never came to school majority of the times hungry. They really never came to school and couldn't drink from the faucet because the water has lead in it. They never went to a school that when it's summertime it's baking hot and when it's winter you freeze it. Right. So these are conditions that our kids have lived and gone through from the time they was born until whatever age that they fall in at the current time. Right. And then you place an educator in those predicaments that have never experienced that their whole life as an adult growing up. They don't really know how to connect to that either. And,
So you're saying it's a failure for the teacher and for the child?
What I'm saying is it's a disconnect. It's a systematic problem. You can't just put a book in front of somebody and expect them to understand what you're going through. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care if you go to Harvard, Yale, Johns Hopkins, or any top college in America or across the world. If you only know the books, but you don't know the actual lifestyle, you don't know how to really reach and relate to these individuals. You just don't. So if you have, it's also bigger than education. That's exactly what's going on in the community with these police as well. You got majority of these white cops coming from good backgrounds, good communities, good neighborhoods, good schools, money, good markets, and then you dropping them in a community where it's nothing but broken homes, devastation, and it's lack of resources. So they come in there and they looking at stuff a certain way, right? And then we totally different, and they scared as hell. And the first thing they ready to do is pull out their gun because they're terrified. It was a case that happened in New York. They put this young white cop in the middle of the hood of New York. Got a phone call. He saw somebody running. He ran in. Where the apartments was at, the lights were broken. It was flickering and it was dark. He never lived through this. He was working everything. Never been through this. Little kid came out the door. He shot. He, in his statement, and I really believe this because I understand how disconnected and the difference is. He said, in that situation, I was so scared. It was so dark. It was so loud, and so much was going on me. I misused my gun. I don't know the man, but I can honestly understand in a circumstance or situation like that. If you've never been raised in the hood, right. If you've never been in these environments and these predicaments, and somebody just dropped you there, and you just gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like I'm from the hood, but I've never been to like Afghanistan and Iraq. Right. So Like if
But
I go there
in a war country,
right.
you're not gonna know.
If you drop me in a war country and they dropping bombs and missiles,
Right.
I'm from the hood. I still probably shit myself.
Right.
Like you feel what I'm saying? I still probably be afraid, and that's the difference. It's like we come from totally different worlds, and you just dropping people in these communities, and you're not giving them the proper training before just dropping. You think, oh yeah, they got the certification, they got the degree.
I still don't know that there's going to be enough training, even if they did put something like that in the police academy, because I don't know that you can train someone on how to effectively deal with that culture that they're going to be thrown into, because you don't know how they're going to react until they're there. So speaking of that, I'm gonna change the subject a little tiny bit. There was they had the National Night Out this past week, and a lot of people were there, and someone who's very involved in the community there were 3 murders in the city, and the mayor is at Mondawmin doing a 2-step or something to that effect, right? So I stole the comments, so I put it on my page because I wanted to see what people felt about it. I myself thought it was personally funny that he would say she's up there dancing and people are getting murdered in her city. Because I'm thinking, even if she's out, what exactly is it that she could do at this moment to stop it, right? It's nothing that she's going to be able to do, right? Because I am a probation agent and I'm responsible for 70 people and I have a mental health caseload. If they don't know where their mind is most times, how can I say where it is? How can I be responsible for their decisions? I can't be. But the way that the organization in which I work for works and operates, I'm expected to be, responsible for these people. They are going to do what they want to do regardless, right? So what I was saying is the mayor is not going to be able to stop the violence that's in the city. The police department is not going to be able to stop the violence that's in the city, because putting those officers out on these corners, whether it's 3 of them, 5 of them, the van, 10 of, I don't care. It's not going to work. That's not effective for a lot of reasons. I was riding through Penn North. You had 2 officers walking up the street. You could see the police van ahead of us.
They sell drugs right in the same corner.
So this is my point. So the 2 officers were walking towards us, and I was getting out the car because I was actually going to speak to my uncle. The officers are walking up. One of them has a cigar and is smoking a cigar as he's approaching me. I was like, what in the world is he doing? So as he got closer, I saw the cigar. But over here in his peripheral, there's an argument ensuing right behind the subway station thing. They walk up, they peek over, they keep going, and then they post up right there by the subway thing. They never go behind the wall to see what they're arguing about. People are saying, oh, 5-0, whatever they say or whatever. So then they stop and they come out, right? So the point is there are at least 60 people on this corner, on this block, these 2 officers. If they were to intervene, what were the people most likely to do? Because their presence was not enough to deter the behavior. They continued to buy drugs, sell drugs, whatever. They continue to do that even with these 2 officers there. That does not make sense to me. That is not a good way to strategize in using your officers. I don't see how that makes sense.
So I totally agree with what you're saying. And in my opinion, it don't matter if you have 5 police on each corner. That's not going to stop.
It's not.
It's called displacement. If you put 5 police on this corner, 5 police in that corner, the guy's going to go down the street, or they're going to go a little bit below the police. What you have, in my opinion, what you have to do is work on improving the actual problem.
Yes.
You can't continue to place more police in a community, but you are not addressing and fixing and trying to, deal with what's actually going on in that community. Because if you have a community with people that cannot read, if you have a community with people that do not know how to count, You have a community with people who can't get good jobs and careers. You have a community with people who don't have no type of development, and they living in the harshest conditions. They're going to have the same behavior regardless if the cop is in their face or not.
You're wasting resources.
Exactly. We keep on thinking Baltimore need 100 more police.
No.
200 more police. It don't matter if you fill this whole town up with the army and police. That is not going to stop us. But for real, like you can send a National Guard here. You had the sheriffs walking up and down the street. You had the Baltimore City and Baltimore County Police patrolling all every day. They still gonna do the same thing because we are not addressing the problems.
But the
that's
problem with
going
that
on.
though, Wesley, is that will become a money thing because that would be way too expensive for them to uphold that project. So that's the reason why they're not going to do that. So, I'm saying it's a waste of resources because you put your 2 officers on this block where there's 100 people around. And, and it's funny because right after that discussion, they had the police officer who beat up the guy.
Right.
So people are standing around, and I can guarantee you if it was more than just the 3 people we could see in that video, it was 5, 10, 15 of them. That officer probably would not have beat that man up like that.
He would not have.
He probably would not have even gone to that extent. I can almost guarantee it. 2, if it was a mob of people, they would not have allowed him to do that. Secondly, the point that I want to make about putting those standing there not really knowing what to do. Yes, he wanted to stop. Yeah, he wanted to stop him, but he really couldn't stop him because this guy at this point is enraged. So he couldn't really stop him. So he should really be watching their back because you have a guy there with the broom or whatever. Not only that, whoever was saying scared to death, these people may have actually grown up in the hood, right? But again, you're putting them in a position in which they do not have the upper hand.
Right.
And it's equivalent to this. Working in a prison. They'll put one officer, most of the time a female, on a tier with 74 men. Now, the problem that I have with that is what am I doing as the only female on this tier with 74 people? Because at any moment, if they wanted to overtake me and overtake the jail, they could.
Yes.
With the whole 7 to 3 shift, if they wanted to, they could take the jail over. They allow us as COs, case managers, social workers, whoever, they allow us to come into their environment to fulfill this mission. And I don't want anybody to ever believe that it's anything different. When this officer got killed out Jessup, they thought it was a great idea. Let's use our resources. We're going to send people from Baltimore City out to the House of Corrections because we need more officers. The problem with that, though, is the culture that was at that institution, I was not prepared to deal with. Because in the city where I came from, we had people who are going home, right? You put me in a House of Corrections where people have life sentences. They don't give a shit who you are. They have nothing to lose. How, one, am I being helpful in that situation? Because I'll give you an example. I'm saying, on the tier, they're all locked down at this point. This guy says, can you take this newspaper down to the person in cell 20? No, I don't know what's in that newspaper. Right. I'm not passing that newspaper. They had a serious problem about that. So they're acting up. The guy who was assigned to that institution, he like, oh man, let me get that. I'll go ahead and pass the newspaper. You don't know what's in the newspaper. What if there's a knife in that newspaper? It could be anything in this newspaper. Why would you facilitate him getting this newspaper from here to here? Now, inmates, convicts, whatever you want to call them, are they have the most ingenuity that you could ever dream of having. He would have got that newspaper down to cell 20, however he was going to get it there. Yeah. He just wanted to test whether or not an officer would help him in his mission. Because you didn't trust and believe that man in 20 was going to get that newspaper and whatever else was in it. But again, you take me out of my culture, you throw me into a prison where they're serving life and they don't care. Imagine if they would have been out. So again, I'm thinking to myself, it's no wonder why this officer feels like he has to participate in this, because if he does not, imagine how they treated that guy, because they aren't going to be locked down forever. So, it's the same thing. Wasting your resources by putting your police on the street. They are scared to death. They cannot do whatever it is you put them out there to do, other than look good, smoke your cigars, relax. Don't get yourself in anything that you don't want.
Make it home safely. Right.
Yes, and just make your home safely. That is basically what you're doing. You are wasting your resources. So while she could not do anything at that time, my biggest issue with the whole thing, where's your strategy? Where was your, and I know it was a lot of news people at the National Night Out, and I know you heard what happened. You couldn't take 1 second to have a quick news flash to say, we understand what's happening in the city, we're doing whatever. So people think that she does not care.
Right.
Not that she can really do anything, because she can't. She can't. But where's her strategy? Because right now what she's doing is not working. You're putting the officers' lives at risk. You're putting the people's lives at risk, because when scared people carry guns, they use them.
Right.
So what is the real strategy? Something else that came out of that discussion was people get all upset when their family members are gunned down and things like that. You want City Hall to pay attention to you. Why don't you go to City Hall instead of having a visual on Monument and Rose? I don't even know if they cross, but just
You know what you mean?
So instead of when you have that visual there, take all of your angry people down to City Hall. Let them see you. Let them hear that you are serious about stopping the crime in your neighborhood. Force them to come up with a strategy. Let them see you. Go hold your visual. All of these people who had people die in the last 30 days, and it's been a lot of them. If you took all of the people who were at all of those different vigils all around the city, take them down to City Hall, you could probably fill up the whole monument that's right there. Let them see that you're serious about effectuating change in your own community.
All right, I agree, but I also have a different stance on that. Because again, I'm from being out there. Who can really affect and bring change is the people in the actual neighborhood. The people who are actually in their community and who's out there. What happens is we grow up as kids seeing this stuff. And to be honest, nobody take it serious until their son or daughter gets shot or killed.
Exactly.
But how long do they take it seriously though? Because they're acting out of emotion and anger in that moment. But where's the follow through?
Exactly. And that's what I get frustrated about, because we act like we want so much change.
Exactly.
We act like we want everything different. But I tell people all the time, we cannot place this in the hands of the government or the police. The most powerful individuals that can affect and bring change is the actual community itself. Because you know why? That grandmother who been living on that block, she been in there 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years living on that same block. Your mother grew up around there. Your brother grew up around there. Your little cousin grew up around there. We know these kids. It's us that got to be like, yo, we need to do this to our own community. Because it's us selling poison to us. A lot of us grew up together. Like, if we're going to be real with this, and that's my thing, I like to be real. A lot of us grew up together. Seriously. We got dudes that we went to school with serving our mother's dope. I went to school with her son, and we selling his mother dope. I went to school with your father, and I'm about to shoot him. We played on the same football team, and I'm about to kill his brother.
But let me talk about the mentality of the youth. And I definitely get what you get. It takes a village to raise a child. I get it. But this is another discussion we were having. You pull up on President Street and the little young guys who are out there washing your windows, the squeegee boys and all that kind of stuff. Let you wave them off like, no, thank you, sir, or whatever. They calling you all kind of bitches. They throwing stuff at your car or whatever. So can you actually approach these guys and be like, listen, there's a different way. Can I teach you this? Can I teach you that? And all this other kind of stuff. So, you have to be careful with that because some people you may be able to approach as that village. Is a lot in this new regime of people, these children.
See, and I don't know. Again, because it's somebody, a lot of them are kids, and the problem is so many people are taking that mindset and saying, "Oh man, these kids can't. These kids, no." We as adults, if we come together and make a strong fist and yoke these kids up, because I'm gonna be real with you. My little brothers are out there on the corner, but guess who they won't get slick with? Me. I don't care what they do to somebody else. If it's brought to my attention, or my stepfather go get them from off the road, we can yoke them up. So my whole point is, if more mothers and fathers and uncles and big brothers and grandfathers do their actual part, no, we can't grab these little kids up. Because I know where my little brothers be at. And when I pull up, they all try to act like they ain't doing nothing. Because seriously.
And that's the whole point and why we are talking about what we are talking about today. Because 9 times out of 10, people are not holding them accountable.
Right,
they are allowing them to bring the money home.
That's your first point.
Exactly. They are reaping the benefits of them being out there. So it has to be that we hold them accountable. But if you're going to be taking the money in one hand, what can you say to them when you see them out on Harvard Road and you know what they're doing?
And that's
you can't say anything.
That's the problem. That's the problem. That's what I mean. Like, so if it's going to be that type of cycle, if it's going to be that type of situation, right? And this might sound a little harsh, but I really mean this from my heart. And I tell my family and my brothers and my sisters, all of them this. I even believe that when I was out there, if something happened to Wesley, if Wesley out on this corner and I'm selling dope and weed and pills to people, if Wesley out here robbing people and sticking people up, if Wesley out here doing all this crazy stuff, if something happened to me, don't be running around here talking about, oh, why? I can't believe it. Why my son? What do you mean, why my son?
Exactly.
Look what your son, and that's what I tell people. If you don't want your son life to be taken, if you don't want your little brother or your nephew life to be taken in that manner, don't support that. Every time you get a chance, you yoke him or her up. It don't matter how many times you see him, you yoke him up and let him know, no, you don't have to live like that. Because you know why? I hate the fact that a mother or grandmother or niece or nephew or whatever, they can know that their big brother or son is robbing the whole North Avenue. He the neighborhood stick-up guy. You're not worried about nobody else's kids or when nobody else losing. But as soon as your son gets shot or stabbed, you screaming and you on the front of everybody saying, oh my God, wow, Billy. Yo, Billy just stuck up the whole hood. Billy just kicked Miss Glenn's door in and robbed her.
All right, so Shay Shannon is saying that's facts, Wes. You can be the ones they see that care. And so she's saying you need to get them off the corner. Knowing they are there means nothing. I'm just saying.
But I mean, but that goes back to my point again, and that was a good point. But everybody has to understand that everybody can do their part because there's so many of us that don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have girls that I mentor, and I have my own daughter, and just this little person thing, me and her father aren't together. But he's in her life because that's me doing my part for my daughter.
Right.
Me doing my part for these little girls that I mentor is me telling them, you don't need a man to do this. You don't need a man to do that. Live a full life. Become your best self, and then the right man will come. That's me doing my part. Mm-hmm. Me going out here and telling my nephews, you don't need to be out on the corner selling. Go get your education. Go get a trade. Go do this. That's me doing my part. So yeah, Wes does his part, but we can't save everybody.
Right, exactly.
And that's the problem. People want a savior, and no, be your own savior. Like
so if something were to happen to Wesley's brother, God forbid, he knows the type of life that they live, so he shouldn't be on the news talking about, oh, my brother was making a miraculous change.
I'm on foul saying that. I'm on record saying no, seriously. I mean this with all my heart. Seriously, I'll bury him and I'll love him and I'll pray and I'll do all that. But you're not gonna have me out here lying to the people, talking about, oh my God, my little brother was a good child. Bruh, I knew what he was doing. You feel what I'm saying? That's just like, I don't expect it to come to me. And I'm not saying like stuff can't happen to me. Right. I'm not saying I'm invisible. I'm not saying that because I live a positive life now, I still can't get harmed. But what I will say is, I would be shocked. And I wouldn't expect that energy to come to me. You know why? Because I'm not putting that energy out in the world.
Right.
Wesley not on nobody's corner no more. Wesley's not selling nobody's weed, heroin, dope, crack, cocaine. Wesley not doing that no more. I damn near don't even drink. My dad gonna sell. You know what this is? Some fruit juice with cherries and strawberries in it. That's what I'm living. So if somebody come and want to harm me at this point, unless it's a random stick up or something, I'll be shocked. But a lot of these individuals that's living these lifestyles, I promise you, I'm from it. That's what come to it. When I was out in the street, we was fighting. We was banging guns. My homeboys had guns. I'm sitting on the porch. Dudes run on the porch. Broad daylight, shooting my man in front of me. I'm putting my hands up, gun. We sticking dogs. It was crazy where we was living at. That's the lifestyle. So when you out there, that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. You sitting on your own front porch, people running down on you, and it ain't just movies. That's real. That's real. Like some people are living that. You could be sitting on your stoop and then have a junkie walking on the block acting like he just sick or something, and somebody will pay him for him to get high, and he'll blow your brains out just to get high. These people will do anything to get their fix. And that's what I'm saying. Like when you live in that lifestyle, that's what come with it. It's about holding yourself and your people accountable. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because have white people done us wrong? Hell yeah. Everybody know the history of what Europeans and white America have done to black people in America. Everybody know the history of it. But right now in 2018, us as a community, as people, we gotta come together and fix our own problems now. Because they not coming to help us. They worry about preserving their own finances and lifestyle. They not coming to fix nothing for us. We gotta do it. And until we get to that point, and as hard as Mike say, we're gonna be like this for a long time until we get to the point that we need to stop living like this. Because you know why? They laugh at me when I talk about it. We have like game nights and stuff, but I be dead serious. It goes down to the smallest thing, as when we listening to these music and the rappers is calling y'all women so many B's, and she still dancing to it. Yes, man. No. Why you so amped up? And he done called you 5 B's, 20 B's in one song, and you shaking off to it. He didn't say, no, I'm telling you, this is where it started. He didn't say, I'm effing your wife on the plane, I'm effing in the back of the truck. They're not just making this up. It's all reinforcement. And what I'm saying is, when you hear these things constantly, you gotta stop.
He was on and he was talking about the song that he had, and he said, the stuff he was saying didn't even make sense, but he knows that this is going to sell. Exactly. And he didn't even anticipate this being a hit, but he just says anything, and they like it.
But that's
I was like, oh my goodness.
Exactly. That's
so Shay is in agreement with you, and she's saying we have to start at home and hold your family accountable first. Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, take me back to the jail. So in the jail, there's a program called Thinking for a Change, and it's a cognitive behavioral program. So basically what we're looking at is we're trying to change their behaviors, the way that they think, so that their actions could be different. So this is one of the very topics that we talk about, because the inmates would say, well, I held her down while I was on the street, so she should be holding me down while I'm in here. She should be sending me money. She should not be having a boyfriend or anything like that. The problem that I always have with that is that very much so may be true. You may have held her down. But if she depended on you to hold her down while you were out there, now that you're here and you can no longer do that, how are you expecting her to get her needs met? Whether financially or physically. The same person you were serving, she has to go to the next dude to get it. Right. So, and not only that, BG&E still needs to be paid, that phone bill needs to be paid. So she may not have enough to send you any money. So I think you have unrealistic expectations in expecting her to do that. So, you know, they had a hard time getting a grip on it. Right. They could not understand for the life of them what it was that I was talking about. But if she wanted you for your money and you were her means of paying her bills, now that you're gone, she has to do that. And you feel like she needs to hold herself and wait for you and not have sex with anybody else and wait for you to come home.
I think that's just a control issue with men in general. I think that
you got
I think that's a control thing with gentlemen, period. You know, and I can say this because me and my son, son's father is not together. My son has a whole wife at home, but he still want to have control over my life.
The father.
Oh. You know, it's the same thing, just like with Power, Ghost and Tasha.
Yes.
Tasha got herself a new guy.
Yes.
And
He
Ghost,
bounced.
and Ghost got rid of him.
And he
Because,
bounced on her.
because Ghost intervened. She was fine. And
No, he was ready to bounce a couple times. No. He was corny. Don't bring cold water up.
No, he was not corny.
Don't bring corny. He was corny from the beginning.
He corny.
You can tell he was.
He was on the right
don't
side
say
of the
nothing.
track.
I support that.
How was he corny though?
No, he had no swag from the jump.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
You couldn't tell he was. No, you know what happened? She was looking for something different, but he wasn't with that. Hold on. No. Let's go back. Let's rewind.
But why is Ghost trying to hold on to Tasha?
Let's rewind.
Right. He got Angie on the side.
Let's rewind. If y'all want to bring that up, no, that's not even what happened. Remember, hold on. Let's dig into it. It's not control issue.
It is control.
Let's dig into it. Remember when Ghost was talking about changing his life and Ghost didn't want to be in the street no more? And you know what Tasha said? Tasha didn't see him as a businessman.
Right.
Only thing Tasha see him was as being the biggest drug dealer in New York.
Right.
That's what started to sway that man's mind, because when that man was saying, I don't want to be in the street no more, I want to run this club, I want to be clean, I want to be a businessman. Ghost been trying to get out the street the whole damn movie.
Right.
But
The whole movie, you know what Tasha didn't do? She didn't support her. She said,
Exactly.
all I see you is
Exactly,
doing
because
is being the biggest drug dealer in New York.
how are her needs going to get met? And
He was getting those club checks.
the ladies
She
are
laughed
not.
at him.
The ladies are not in agreement with you. Ghost done ran her piece off.
You don't get it. You don't get it. As a man, if I've been with you this long from the street to now, I'm trying to do good, and you look at me in my face. Before the little Puerto Rican girl came, Angela came in the picture, he went to her.
You know
and was telling her.
control issues.
No, I'm gonna get to that. You ain't listening. You ain't listening.
Let's get to
I'm
that.
gonna get to that. What happened was Tasha started to lose Ghost because Ghost seen that she wasn't on the same wave. So he looking at her, she laughing. Do y'all remember when he brought the club check home and she basically laughed and was like, "What's this?" Let me ask you a question. Do you think that lawyer check was bigger than his club check? No, it wasn't.
That was still
She
big, though.
she started. Right. Tasha started that ripple effect. And what happened was when Angela came into play, Angela was a woman that he never fell out of love with. They was forced to move apart.
Right.
So he had to move on with his life.
Right,
So when he seen her, he started to reminisce what was going on. Secondly, she presented that lifestyle that he was trying to obtain at the time that Tasha was saying she didn't want.
Okay, but now Angie wants Tommy to kill John. So what's up with that?
Right. It's so much stuff. But back to the point that we are talking about, and all of, you know, they go to jail and they have these expectations and stuff like that. Now,
So, all right, far as a man,
Go ahead.
I'm not even gonna
Go ahead. He got a
All right, so how the game gets so messed up is when a man fall deeply in love with a woman and he get hurt, he then wear that and skin that. Like, yo, she hurt me. A lot of men don't want to be re-hurt. Women will get hurt and then it's like y'all bounce back from it.
Like,
It's like y'all bounce back from it, and some of y'all be willing to try again. So that's why it's like a man that get hurt one time, and then he damn near turn into a male whore because it's like, yo, I ain't trusting these chicks. They'll do you grimy too. If you ever can be in a group of men and be a fly on the wall, yo, men be crying and just as hurt as women do. But we gotta portray this image that we tough. We gotta portray this image that we strong. We gotta portray this image that, oh, we don't get heartbreaks. Man, shit. You go get a group of men that can be honest with you. They done been cheated on. Their wife done slipped out somewhere. They done felt their girlfriend doing something, and their heart been hurt and broken too. So now they turn into like a little young savage or something. I'm baking this.
But what the hell do with power and control?
So what I'm saying
this
is,
is
I'm
control
about to get
issue.
to the, it's not a control issue.
What is it?
It's that once you give your heart to a woman as a man, you feel like, and I don't even want to use the word property, you then feel like she's yours. So when
That's control.
I don't know. It's like
control.
it's not really control. It's like, yo, that's me, and you don't want nobody else to have your meat. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
But you got a whole, right?
yeah, but that's still like that's me though. Like you still him.
How many people worry about what I'm doing?
Most of that.
Yeah, control your feet then. You know, that don't have anything to do with me.
So it's true. So y'all are controlling.
No, it's not hot in here. Feels
No,
great.
no.
That's just you. You know, girl power.
Ain't no girl.
Yeah, girl power.
You made nerves with that power question.
Exactly.
I know. I ain't making nerves. I'm hot.
Yeah. That's an excuse.
You know, because I just really don't understand how they feel they have that sense of entitlement over this woman. She has moved on and she has the right to do so. Right. If you felt as though you were giving her your money because it had to be a stash house,
I don't like
she
that.
had your
I don't like
children.
that. I don't like that. You know why? Because women do it too.
How
But why? No, why is it
He
different?
always
Hold
wanna-
on. Why, I'm not trying to flip it. Why is it different for this? What I be wanting to know. A woman can go slice a tire, bust a window, climb on a roof. While you out at your job, a woman can do all of that, and it's looked at, oh, it's a woman. That's my ex-wife. That's my fiance. But let the man be peeking out the bush. Let the man be climbing through your window when he get you. Now he a clown. He weird. He this, and that's the problem. Men be wanting to do the same stuff and act the same way, but the problem is society paints you as, man, if we gonna be real, that's another topic we need to have. You know how many
men talk like ladies.
She's right. Hold on, what she say? She said what?
Men talk like
They do. You know how many men that hid on the beds to try to catch that woman? You know how many men that went through windows? You know how many men out here hiding in bushes? You know how many men holding that homeboy's cars to make sure she ain't doing something she ain't said? Man, y'all, don't get me started.
So you do have a female viewer who is in the
She knows it's
on
real.
YouTube. She's saying, yes, Ghost did try to change, but Angela presented it to him, even though she thinks that what she presented was an illusion. So that's kind of like what you were saying, Aisha. It wasn't really, what she put it on to be. But, we all want to talk about that. We can even talk about it next week if you'd like. But, that's the thing. Instead of men trying to be these magicians and make these illusions, be true and honest with yourself. And understand that.
What do you mean honest with yourself?
Oh, can I please?
Go ahead.
Please.
So, piggybacking off of that, this is why women bust windows, slice tires, because men present illusions. Yep. They sell a dream, they sell an image, they get the woman wrapped up, and then when she acts emotional, they want to be like, I don't know what happened. I was up front from the beginning. No, you weren't. You did what you did in the bedroom, made her head the old face. Sold her this drink, had it cooking for you, cleaning for you, doing all these things.
And that's where you go wrong. You got too caught up on the bedroom. You got too caught up on the Johnson. I keep telling y'all, there's some big Johnsons out here. Y'all be trying to act like the Johnson is everything. It's mad Johnsons. It's millions of Johnsons. It's billions of Johnsons walking around here. What else is he providing besides the swamp?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
They supply the money. They supply supply that fast. Like
some of them don't even supply the money. They be sleeping on your couch and driving your car while you at work, but he fucking you good and she's stuck.
Yeah, and you know, it's a meme on that. You have a foster nigga, and that's what they call it. So, but back to what you're saying. Now, I always like to help my offenders understand.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, sir, she was using you for what she needed.
That's it.
Understand that now Tank Top Tony is at home doing all the things that you cannot do because you're here.
Right.
Right? So you can't be upset at her because she has moved on to get these needs met. She does not owe you anything.
Right.
But that's a whole broken cycle in itself.
How?
I'm not taking
He
up
has
for
a
the
man
man or the woman, but that's what I'm saying.
She got to hold him down.
No, I'm not saying she got to hold him down. But what I'm saying is the woman could sustain herself in the first place and wasn't so stuck up and caught on that lifestyle. Maybe she wouldn't be dealing. No, because I want to take up for the woman. No. And I know a female right now. Right now. I know everybody. I know a female right now. They got 3 different baby fathers. They got 3 different baby fathers. All the fathers are deceased. You know why? Because she went after the same exact type of man. She didn't learn her lesson when the first baby father got killed, and then the second baby father got damn. How you gonna get the third? Like that's sad. Like 3 of the baby fathers died.
But who's to say, again, who's to say she's doing anything wrong? That is what she's looking for. She already
wrong. Maybe she might didn't learn it or she wasn't taught, but something that's wrong.
She already knows what could happen. She knows that he could die. She knows that he could go to jail. She knows that, I could have this baby who won't have a father because of whatever kind of,
so what's her excuse for?
Because she's going to get that instant gratification for while he's alive. Let me get his money.
And it's not worth it. The same thing I tell these young boys, I'm going to break it down to you like this. If you standing on this corner, and like you said, a lot of them barely making minimum wage. So you're getting that instant gratification, standing on that corner, selling this weed, these pills, or these cocaine, whatever you are serving, right? So you got a stretch of 1 or 2 good years and you killing it, and then you caught in the system and they give you 5 to 10.
Right.
Is that 1 or 2 years of fake stunting worth you doing 5 to 10 years in jail? So that's 5 or 10 years you missing if you don't have if you got a kid. That's 5 or 10 years you missing of really developing in life and being able to grow and be successful. That's 5 or 10 years that your mother, grandmother, or baby mother got send you green dots and put money on your commissary. That's 5 or 10 years that you are a liability.
Illegal, by the way. Right. Don't send him green dots.
They send him green dots. They stuffing the balloons with the drugs. They throwing it over the wall every day. Like we from, like, come on. It ain't worth it. That's my point. This instant gratification that we chasing, a lot of people chasing, it ain't worth it. Just like the butt injections. I just watched the documentary on TV. Oh my God, it was some stuff was so like hurtful and nasty, disgusting. These girls are out here destroying their bodies. Just like we talked about it, I think it was the last week or week before, and I said a lot of these women aren't comfortable in their own skin. They're getting all these fake things done to their body, and your body is rejecting it. So it's like a disease in your body, and it's your body rotting. Like these girls, they butt explode.
Because I'm down with that.
And you know what? And I don't even know why you running out there to kill yourself, because they love flat butt girls, they love big girls, they love long girls.
They love all that.
Exactly. So don't even go out there killing yourself for that short time and gratification that you're going to get to look good.
I'm not going to talk against that because I like instant gratification. And if I had the money, I would pay to go.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Okay, getting
She's talking about it. What do you mean?
What?
Getting snacks.
If I want to get
a tummy tuck, because you gotta believe if I say I
didn't even say that. That's not what I said.
He's talking about getting.
I'm talking about getting the stuff in you.
Right.
But also, no, there are problems with that too. I don't mean to speak on it, but and that's what Kanye West's mother passed away from. Trying to.
But you own this shit. She had no business being in there.
Who's just saying is an age limit on with this everybody got the same mental capacity. A lot of people don't have the same mental capacity of, I'm 50 years old and I still want to look 30.
Okay,
no,
50 is not the new 30. So she fucked up by going in there trying
she
to.
was in another country and all
Yeah,
that.
she
just
messed
stayed
up.
there.
She
All
messed
right,
up.
but beside her, it's a lot of women out here that are dying and almost
they
dying.
are.
Shit, they say women, are dying from giving birth, let alone going up under the knife and getting your body opened up just to look cute. Take your tail to the gym and stop eating so many burgers.
Jim,
I don't know anybody by the name Jim. Thank you.
That's the problem.
And I
You don't
love
want work. You ain't about that work.
I don't care.
You ain't about that work.
I don't care.
Oh, okay, Wesley, bring me a meal plan next week and have me out at Montebello training.
I'm
How
not
about that?
doing that.
What you mean you're not doing that?
I'm not going out to no Montebello.
Come get
Yes,
it popping with me.
girl.
Meet me at the gate.
I work out. That's good, girl. You
Look at little arms and shoulders.
Yeah.
All it takes is a little bit of work. That's the problem. You want an instant.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not a little bit of work. It takes a whole lot of
For
work.
women, our bodies are a little different, especially over 35.
I don't want to hear it's a
And-
woman. It is a woman that is 80-some years old right now getting it popping.
But it's not a little bit of work. That lady works hard to look the way she
So what
looks.
you saying? You lazy?
I'm saying, even if you take me out to Montebello, I had 4 babies. You're not going to be able to
And
do
guess what?
anything to the
Guess
bottom
what?
of my stomach.
All right,
You're not
I ain't
going to
talking about that. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about that. But guess what?
I gotta go.
Guess what I'm saying? No, you don't. That's what I'm saying. That's what she can do, though.
What?
If she get on consistent regimen and at least give it a strong 6 months to 12 months and going hard, I guarantee your body will see a drastic difference.
But Wesley, I just said, bring me the meal plan and take me out to Montebello. I see you training everybody else, but what I'm trying to, you don't want to help me because I'm not exotic enough. But I don't care. I'm at Montebello anyway. So
you're trying to hit me with the exotic joke.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So anyway, right, it's not that easy, Wes. So
No, man. I never use the word easy because the exercises that I do,
you said a little bit of work.
it takes work.
I'm not gonna be able to.
No. You know what? I don't want to hear that from you. You know why?
Wow.
You know why? You about to get your PhD.
You right.
You about to get your PhD.
Yeah.
So I ain't accepting that from a queen that's about to get a PhD because that's damn a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because me working on my master's shit, I'm getting my tail boxed and I'm working hard. So somebody that's getting their PhD,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear that because all that school you had to go to, it wasn't easy.
Right.
Because if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Bring me my meal plan. Don't be talking no shit, but because we here.
Right.
I expect to get an invite to Montebello or something. And don't be trying to work me out all hard because you know I've been sitting on my
I
ass
ain't
for
working
10
all hard
years.
because I understand it takes time to gradually grow and get to a level. See, that's another problem why some people get discouraged. They come out there and they try to go too hard in the beginning. No, if you haven't been out there working out for a while, your first 3 days, maybe you walking and you doing light jogs. Now when you get to your 5 to 6 to 7 days, you throw a little bit more speed in there. When you get to the next week, you feel what I'm saying? No, you ain't gotta take weeks to do that.
You got to take me a little bit slower than that.
No.
Okay. So anyway, back to what we were talking
I
about.
lost where we was at.
Right. So I'm about to bring you back because before we got off, that was an excellent segue to where we're going. So when I was talking about prison exile, I'm talking about people who are sentenced to these 20 years, 25 years life sentences. In the beginning, all your homeboys like, let me know what you need, yo. I'm gonna send you this, I'm gonna send you that. The baby mother, yeah, baby, I'm gonna be right here waiting. Your mother, she's encouraging you and all this other kind of stuff of all the great things they're gonna do to help you get through these 25 years. However, them people get in there and do not hear shit from any of these people who they were out there risking their lives for. They were out there sharing those pennies that I was talking about that they're getting off of those corners. And these people in turn have left them behind. Now, I'm not saying that you take your BG&E money and send it in to me because I'm serving 25 years of life. That's not what I'm saying.
My man 88 said rule number 1 to doing a bid only mothers and true lovers. Don't really expect nobody else. He did, how many years, 88? For I think it's over 15 years. He said only mothers and true lovers. You can't really hold on to, you feel me? Like people, and that's why I say you can't really get caught up on that because 88 did 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know 88, right?
Well, how about
All
that?
right. Well, he did.
If I was his case manager, I know.
He did 17 on a 23-year bid.
Oh my goodness.
So he was sentenced to 23 years and did a 17 out of that. I met 88 when I was a correctional officer over at the penitentiary. Mild mannered, very respectful, you know. Always work out. He said she knows me. Yeah. That's where I met him at. He's home now doing great things in the community and work like that. But my point is what he was saying, like you can't expect everybody 17 years.
Yeah.
People attention span is small.
Right.
You can't even, let me tell you something. It's women and men out here that will be in a relationship with you for 2, 3, and 5 years. And they will break up with you, and a month later they got a whole new boyfriend and girlfriend.
Get the tingle.
A whole
You better not expect
you
to
haven't
be even there.
You haven't even broken up or been out of that relationship for a whole year yet, and they got a new boo posting them on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. So you telling me you expecting somebody to wait around for you? You just got sitting there 10 years. Boy, you better let that go.
And that's all I'm saying. That expectation is unrealistic. That lady is not there waiting for you to get out or whatever. So, well, mostly.
No, if you married her.
No, even married women.
I'm saying, if you married her, I don't know. That might be a different game.
No.
Because you said you walked into the game set for better or for worse.
Let me tell you something.
In real life,
let Kevin Davis.
That ain't real life, but what I'm saying is,
let me tell you about
Ari, I ain't gonna hear you talk this.
Let Kevin Davis get 1 day in jail.
One day
we're gonna be. You better be coming home immediately. Like I'm not sending you no dollars, no commissary, no nothing. And I even told the inmates that, and I'm not sending him anything. He better not have any expectations because his little heart is going to be hurt.
Well, guess what? For you, he knows that, oh, great, and that's not the type of woman you are. So he shouldn't even have that in his mind to do nothing. Only way I would expect a woman like you to really be like, yo, I gotta wait this 2 or 3 years is if, wait. No. In some circumstances, she better. No, listen to what I'm saying.
What you saying?
Listen to what I'm saying. No, it's not control. If you listen to what I'm saying, it's some circumstances that you should wait for your man. Because I'm gonna break it down like this. If he's out in her life, she don't need the ridiculous and the recklessness of going out here and selling no drugs or something. But if something were to happen to her family or her kids or her home and it went the wrong way and the husband had to stand up for his family, or he was he was doing the best thing for his family, his kids, and his wife, and it went the wrong way and he got sentenced to 2 or 3 or 4 years in prison protecting his people, and if you step out on that, oh my God, that is disgusting.
Oh my goodness.
That man was doing the right thing for his family and he did time for his family and you leave it? That's the difference between I'm standing out on this corner selling dope.
Oh, I might temporarily.
I ain't saying don't get your rocks off.
Oh.
I ain't saying don't get your rocks
I'm
off.
still be his wife when he get back.
All right, cool.
I'm never gonna get a divorce, baby.
Cool.
I'll never divorce you. If you listening, I never divorce you.
I ain't saying she
you already
can't
know
get
I'm
along.
not getting a divorce.
I ain't saying don't get, taken care of, but what I am saying is,
yeah.
How many men is gonna hold the woman down? Not a one.
Exactly.
That's not true.
They don't even hold them down when they out.
That's not true. Not true.
So,
you can't speak. You can't use that. You speak in the sense of 100 percentile, and you sitting in front of a man right here who holds it down.
Oh, well, this one man. This one man is not me.
It's billions of men on this planet. You feel what I'm saying?
He's holding it down.
Look,
Let me tell you
Let me
something.
tell. No, I'm gonna be real.
A Brazilian
I don't-
chick
I don't-
walk across.
Girl, bye.
Yeah. She might forget about it. She might forget about it.
Yo, I mean,
Miss
Hey.
I'm sorry.
listen, world.
You
Do
already know.
not allow them
You
to
already
put
know.
that in your mind. That is false information.
Okay.
Do not believe what the crowd is telling you right now. Listen, what I'm saying is,
those two already corroborating. They saying it's true.
this how they work. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Listen,
It
ladies.
must be true.
All the queens out there that
Oh,
know
wait,
this,
now you want to say
Listen.
queens. Now you want to say queens.
listen.
That's the facade lady.
Listen,
That's how you get
if you are Wesley Hawkins' wife,
You talk about
and
the black queen.
and you had to do
You talking
something,
about black queen.
and you had to do something that you are protecting, or if something happens and you doing right by us, and it just go wrong in a court of law, I got you. I got you. You feel me? I got you. I ain't gonna roll out on you, but if you out here tripping, I told y'all on one show before. Seriously, I told y'all on one show before that this is how I am. Elijah's my little brother. I don't have no biological kids yet. But if I do have a son and daughter, I'm going to raise them the best way I can, right?
Right.
And if I do my thing raising my children the best way I can, and him or her go out here and rob somebody, and the person end up getting killed, and they come home with the murder weapon, I am calling 911.
You turn
Get
it in.
him out of here, get her out of here, because first of all, I didn't raise you like that. Second of all, you didn't have to do that. You got caught up in some whole other stuff that I didn't teach you. I ain't like y'all saying, oh no, I'm hiding my son. No, my son going, or my daughter going in the Bing, and they gonna serve. You know why? Because I believe in you killed somebody else's family member.
Right.
Now somebody else been lost their mother or father or uncle or grandmother. Now they hurting. Now they gotta bury somebody. Now they done lost their feelings and emotions. They going crazy. I believe in that. So my child is going in. But if my wife do something ridiculous, and we
Oh, she got to sound ridiculous.
say if we married and we financially stable, right? But she greedy and she a bank supervisor.
Oh, she doing
And she doing embezzlement and I don't even know about it. And they give her 15 years for embezzling big bread. I'm out of there. If they give her that 15, I'm gone.
Oh,
I'm
my
done.
goodness.
Soon as the judge said 15 years, Miss Hawkins, I'm gonna be in the next line signing for divorce papers, taking my kids, and we get it popping, and we're gonna find a step mommy, and I'm gone.
See?
Because no, you can't say I wouldn't have told her to do that in the first place. So if she went behind my back and my guidance and did some bank embezzlement.
His guidance.
Yeah, that's my wife.
Honestly, God damn it. You know what?
He controls everything.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
that's not control.
That's not
Okay.
control.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I'm right along with you. I'm not fitting to sit around for no silly nonsense. I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not doing it. So I'm right along with you or whatever. But a lot of times the inmates in my groups could not really understand where I was coming from. So, and I wanted to talk about this because one of my
But you know
cousins.
why? Hold on before you go too far. You know why they don't understand it? Because the females come in the situation benefiting so heavily and wanting it so like you literally have a population of women that only want hustlers.
Exactly.
So when in his mind he's not thinking like,
well, that's his stupidity. She only wants you for your money, dumb ass. So now that you
well, she
can't
should
give
feel
her,
that same way too.
no.
So when he get locked up or when he get killed or when he not doing good no more and she got the baby by the dude that she went after the hustler. Why are you crying on your single parent mother? You the one who signed up for the hustler. You wanted the life. You wanted the money. Now you got the baby.
Right.
By the hustler, because you wanted the hustler so bad. The radio pumped it up, the TV pumped it up, other women pumped it up. They want the dope dealers because they got the shoes and the watches and the little jewelry and the flashy cars. He still live in his mother's basement. He can't buy the house because they don't got the documents for it. So he live with us. You feel me? And she wanted because he can buy me the bag. Girl, he's sending me on trips. And then she got a baby by her. And then now she got a 1-year-old daughter or son. He's selling dope. They didn't grab him up. Now he doing 5 to 10 years. Now you sending money over to jail for the commissary. You're a single parent.
Send him money, hold him down, do whatever it is that I'm doing. Because, or I can just leave him alone, have a baby by the next drug dealer, and keep on living my life.
And that's the cycle that I be talking about. That's the cycle. People need to have these real life conversations and sit down and converse with one another. And somebody need to really speak on this instead of pumping it up. Normally, it's a small population of guys that has hustled, that haven't done no jail time, they haven't been in no street violence or no crime and stuff like that. It's a very, very, very slim and small populations of individuals who sell drugs, who haven't been faced with some type of negativity.
Right.
It's small. We gotta carry the guns. We gotta bang off on somebody sometimes. We gotta discipline the dude that we gave the pack to, and the pack was worth 5,000, and he ran off with it like they making songs on it. I ran off with a plug twice. That's silly. You know why? That plug done put his money up. He didn't bought his weight. You done ran off with $5,000, $10,000 worth of merchandise. Now he looking for you. They done made a stupid song out of it. Tomorrow ran off with a plug twice. You know what? That plug coming to hit your head.
I know a whole family who was killed in that same exact way.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's real.
Right, it is. So I have a cousin who got sentenced to a significant amount of time. And while I never benefited off of my cousin, never. While I never depended on him for anything, when he did get sentenced, I loved him as my cousin, and I felt as though you can give $5, I can give $5, or as a family, we all contribute or whatever, and give him like a little birthday present every year. 35 years is going to be a very long time. So all of the people who depended on his drug money, none of them people ever gave a dime. Now, I think that is wrong. Because as a family, even if we're not, a birthday present once a year, what is so, because doing time behind the bars is going to have a long lasting effect, especially when they're doing a whole lot of time behind those walls. It changes so much stuff. When it is time for them to get out, for those who do get out, make sure you treat people well, especially if you're behind the bars, because people do get out. When they do get out, they need some type of support. And if we did a poor job while they were in there, imagine what's happening to their confidence as a person. Imagine how they feel after they risked their life and you've been able to benefit off of them, and we couldn't come together and get you a birthday card.
About my life, I'm very open about my experience. So my grandmother that passed away, my mother's mom, when my mother passed in December, my grandmother passed a couple months after her. They basically said she was so heartbroken that she couldn't take it. So she literally passed. And my family, when I was hustling, years ago,
He's only 32, but go ahead.
I paid mortgages. I've bought cars. I've got cars fixed. I've got houses remodeled. I paid school loans. I've done a lot. When I got arrested, I didn't know people's numbers by heart. So the people that I used to know, deal with uptown, I know their numbers by heart. But I called my grandmother. And she answered. I said, Grandma, I'm in a little trouble. I need you to come get me. She said, no. I said, Grandma, I got you. As soon as I get out, I need you to help me get out of here. But I can't get out unless somebody put the money up for the house. I had the money, though. She said, no. I sat in the jail a week longer because I didn't know nobody else's number by heart. And my other grandmother, I didn't want to call her because there was one side of my family that really knew what I was indulging in, and the other side basically ain't had no clue. So the family that ain't had no clue, I didn't want to call and tell them and involve them in that. But the family that I was taking care of, that knew what I was doing, knew where I was from, knew where the money came from. When I called and I'm like, yo, I'll help you pay this house off. I need you to put your house up for me. I got the money when I get out. I just can't get to the money because I'm behind bars. Like, can you get me out of here? She won't get me out. Man, my grandmother relationship started to go down the hill after that because I started looking at it like, yo, like I love you, my grandma, you older, but like what you said, they took advantage of when I was doing it. You feel what I'm saying? Like when I was hustling and in the street and doing things, I'm paying mortgages, I'm getting the houses remodeled, I'm buying food, I'm buying the cars, I'm doing all this stuff, and they knew what I was doing. When I got in trouble and it was time to bail me, literally would not get me out.
Benefit to me.
Wouldn't get me out.
You
and
can
the crazy thing about
it is,
I had the money though. I had the money outside, but I couldn't get to it.
Yeah,
Bro,
I don't know that.
Exactly.
I don't know
exactly.
that. It's no benefit to
exactly.
me. You're of no benefit to me. But what I'm saying is even if we are not going to send any money, send a birthday card where all of us signed it. You know, something.
Because
you
that support is going to help them not reoffend later.
Exactly.
You need that support in order to change their behavior.
Exactly. And so that's the point that I was making. So while I'm saying I would not, condone the behavior, I would not participate in the behavior, you go to jail, don't expect me to be going above and beyond. But when these people get incarcerated for long periods of time, we have to, in some kind of way, show them some type of support. Let them know, okay, this is how you live then. When you come home, we need to look at a realistic plan for how things can be different. Let me show you that I do love you enough to care about the decisions you're making in your life. I am here for you. So, even if you don't send them any money, let them know that you're there. Let them know that they're not forgotten about. Make sure you work for DPSCS. Make sure you fill out that inmate interaction form because you don't want to be fired for loving your family member. So do whatever you have to do, but let them know that things can be different. Don't just let them sit there and forget about it. So, any last words, anything, that's basically what I wanted to talk about on this topic. And I think everybody, I know we got off a little bit, but
I think we had an awesome show. It was amazing. We touched on a couple of things. We had a nice couple laughs. They made me hot. Well, I was baking in this room. If y'all see me right now, I had to come out of one of the jackets, open it up. Like, they be trying to roast me in here. neeuq be talking about some girl power. I'm the only guy sitting at the table. What's cool, though? Hey, fellas, I got our back. My hold is down. But it was an awesome show. Miss McFadden, would you like to...
Yes, please share. How can you be contacted, or how can we support your organization?
Oh, cool. I can be contacted Future Achiever Center Inc. on Instagram and Facebook. Just support by when you see postings of the book drive, because I really am passionate about children and literacy, especially our kids who are in these situations and conditions that we were talking about. Literacy actually helps you get a gateway to learn something different, get that little nugget polished, and get that seed plan to sprout to want to do something better. So donate books. If you have any young girls that you want to have mentored, hit me up again on my IG. And I'm also doing an emotional emancipation circle for single Black moms, so we can talk about those interactions with the fathers, what is the myths of being a single Black mother. That's a lot of them. Just working to, creating a bigger sense of community so that we can get the kids before they start doing these delinquent behaviors and becoming incarcerated. So again, that's Future Achiever Center Inc. at on IG and on Facebook. And thanks for having me, y'all.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Right, come on, Future Wendy.
Where you at? Let's go.
Come on.
Close us out. What you got?
Yes.
I don't really have anything to say, y'all. The conversation was good. Ms. McFadden. I wish we would have got to know more in detail about exactly what exactly you do and why you started it. You know, the
We
background.
still have a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
We still have a few minutes.
So go ahead.
48.
So when did you start and why did you start?
Oh wow!
All
I started this.
There you go.
When I started with the little kids back in 2002,
Okay.
when I worked at a community center when I was in college in Atlanta.
Okay.
And the reason why I started this work is, I think I was telling Wesley when I first met him. My mother, of course, you know, she taught in Baltimore City 37 years. My father, he grew up in West Baltimore. He didn't go to college or anything. And what my mother used to do, she taught at 125 Birmingham Templeton down there. Was that Pennsylvania Avenue? I think that's what it is. She taught down there. She taught at school. She taught at Ashburton Elementary Middle School. But I remember when I was little, she would bring the students home for the weekend. Like we lived out in Randallstown, and a lot of those kids grew up in those, you know, completely opposite conditions of how I grew up. And my mother would bring them down on the weekend. They would play outside, have fun, hang out. My father would cook like a big breakfast and everything. And that was how my house was growing up. Like when my father passed in January, kids that went to school with me, my sister, they talked about how my father was the only male that they had in their lives. That my mother was that person that encouraged them to do better. So it's just who we are. Like
Right.
that's how I was born. That's how I was raised. And you know, it feels good to give back, and it feels good to, you know, I've been doing this work for like 16 years now. It's hard to imagine that, but and even if it's just a little bit, just knowing that I'm doing my part.
Right.
Okay. Yep, I post a lot on my social media, so definitely follow me, and then you'll be able to assist. I can clothe the drives, I donate clothes to Roberta's house, and just clothes to the homeless people that's on the corners, and give them blankets and money and food and everything. Just doing my part.
All right, thank you. So make sure you're keeping an eye out on what we're doing. Wesley is actually going to let me in on his action a little bit. We're going to be doing a hygiene drive coming up for elementary and middle school children. So listen up for the things that we're asking for you to donate so that we can go out and we can make a difference for some of these children who do not have their basic needs met. Hygiene is very serious. So we do want to do some you know, small program on menstruation health because we don't have a lot of people learning that at home. So we actually want to make a difference in these children's lives. So make sure you're paying attention for what we have coming up, a collaborative project between Wesley and myself. Make sure you're checking us out every Monday night on WMSK Online Radio. You can always listen to our shows on YouTube. We're there. The show is Open Wide with neeuq, where we talk about real topics and real communities searching for real solutions. So we will see you next week. Thank you all to my special guests. You know, you really make this happen. Thank you to all the listeners out there in Facebook land and YouTube land and just radio land, period. We'll see you next week. Have a good night. All right, y'all.
That was good. That was funny.
Oh, yeah, we
Wesley
always.
still didn't talk about the control issue, but you know, we're going to let